Hello there, it's Paul here and welcome everyone. I was out here Sunday, spent the morning cleaning up the shed. It was an absolute tip. Afternoon, decided to get on with a couple of things. I got a couple of pen blanks prepped, and I also decided I want to start on a segmented project. Got one row of pieces cut for open segments for a couple of small pots, and then I was starting to do the closed segments, and I made the idiotic mistake of I switched the power off on the table saw, went to grab one of the pieces and caught my thumb on the blade. I was fortunate that when I went to reach for my piece that I just caught the edge of the blade, and it still probably went into my thumb, probably about 2mm deep. The way I look at it is though it was a really stupid thing to do. The way to look at it is that I've just got away lucky with a very minor accident, and what I always find is that when you've done something like that, all of a sudden your mentality changes to how you're working with these tools. Came out here straight away yesterday, the day after, to finish off cutting those pieces that I was doing, and straight away when I switched that saw off, rather than going through the piece, I thought that blade's still spinning. Keep your hands where they are until it's stopped, then grab your work. Table saw is unplugged, so there's no power on here, but I've just got this set up roughly how I would have been cutting the pieces on here. And from this side you can see you've got a really tall blade on here, which is what you can see. But when you're on the other side, when you've got looking at all this side, you don't see the blade very much. And especially when you've cut your piece, you bring the board back like that, you go to grab your pieces which have all just dropped down here, little segments here, and you don't see all this front of the blade. And when you use something like the bandsaw, because the bandsaw blade is solid and it's one thin blade just going down, you can constantly see that blade all the time, precisely where it is, so you know where you can sensibly put your fingers. With this, doing it this way, as I say, it's a bit of a blur. You don't actually see all this front edge. You probably see the top here, and that's why that actually happened. If you follow Sam Angelo, the Wyoming woodturner, he had a similar sort of accident with a table saw where I think he actually lost part of one of his fingers, and at that point he got rid of his table saw. And if you do watch him, you'll realise that he's got a big workshop. He's worked with wood and all those tools for a lot of years, and for even the most experienced woodworker, it can always happen. Now, just give an update where I am with the wands and stands. Obviously, I mean, if you've watched the last couple of videos, I've finished all the wands and I was then making the display stands. I asked a question about that for people's thoughts and advice, and straight away Mole Belly Maker came on and put a comment on there, said he's done a few of the fairs, and what he's done with his, he's actually made up square wooden boxes which stand on top of each other to display all of his items on. But what he's done to make sure that the items stand out, he'd actually painted them black. Now, I love wood, natural wood. I don't mind colouring wood, especially when you can still see the grain and everything through it, because it's still, to me, a lot of the time trying to enhance the wood. And I'm not always a lover of making something jet black. So I had to sort of like hum and ha about this. And I mean, even though I was only using pallet wood still has a nice grain through it. I thought about using the dark wood dye on the pallet wood, have it dark so it hopefully contrasts a lot against a lot of the wands. But again, the wands are from light colours to dark colours. Some of them are actually have been coloured. They could well have clashed with this. When I thought about it, I thought, well, I'm making something here which has got one purpose. It is purely and simply there to display and highlight really the wands being sold. So that's where I thought I'll get the spray black paint out and give them all a spray. Came in the shed here, did a couple of pen blanks, maple one there which I've just trimmed off the ends, so I've got to turn that at some point. And there was also a beech one which I did, and I decided, right, I'll have a go at a little bit of colouring on there. And I'd like some honest opinions on this, because the colouring probably hasn't as gone as well as I thought, as hoped to do anyway. And this was actually a mixture, I think it was of blue, red and yellow gone in there. You can just about see hints of the red in there. The blue has turned a green because of the mix of the yellow and everything. And it's something I've not seen before, is somebody actually colouring pens. So perhaps there's a reason why, because they don't just come out very well. But again, I'd like somebody's honest thought there. So I may well have a go with the maple one as well, regardless. So that at least I've got a couple of different pens there. So give me your thoughts on there. Now, a lot of pen turners, and I used to do the same as well, used to finish their pens off with a CA finish. The last probably 3 or 4 pens I've done, I've used melamine lacquer from Chestnut, and it's not easy. It's a bit of a pain. It's a bit like applying a CA finish. You do need to get a few coats on there, and the bottom here is really nice. The top here, I've probably got a thin bit in the middle here where it's not come up so well, and probably could have done with more coats on there and going on thicker. And then what you do, you leave it for a few hours. I left this one for 24 hours and came out, and then all I've done really is buff this up with Yorkshire grit, the standard and the microfine. So you're just using some form of an abrasive to really just take it back to that smooth. I would say if you haven't tried melamine lacquer, look into it and maybe give it a go as an alternative to a CA finish. Thanks a lot for watching.